Hi, welcome to the Organization Root Administrator Timesheets Submission video session. Timesheet Submission is a sub-menu item under Timesheet Management menu item. The Timesheet Submission user interface is a dashboard which provides a complete view of all the timesheet states to the organization root administrators. Right from generation, timesheets go through a workflow of timesheet submission and timesheet approval. A timesheet may be rejected by the approver, and it goes back to corresponding resource for correction and resubmission. Staffing organization root administrators can see the end-to-end view of the workflow of all the timesheets in the entire staffing organizations, along with various intermediate status and action points. Click on Timesheet Generation sub-menu item to get to the user interface for Timesheet Submission dashboard. As you see, there are 4 nodes in the timesheets workflow: open rejected, self, open rejected, proxy, submitted resubmitted, and approved. The nodes represent the states of the timesheets in the workflow. Staffing organization root administrators can see the timesheets in a state by clicking on the corresponding tab. Let's look into the Open Rejected Self node. Upon generation, timesheets are in open state by default. They appear in the corresponding resources portal awaiting submission. In this node, Staffing Organization Root Administrator can see all the timesheets of the organizations in open state. When a resource fills in and submits a timesheet, it is subject to approval. An approver may not approve a timesheet. The approver can reject, citing a reason for rejection. In that case, the timesheet state becomes rejected, and it comes back to the resource for correction and resubmission. In this node, Staffing Organization Root Administrator can see all the timesheets of the organizations in rejected state. Also, the timesheet status column indicates if a timesheet is in open state or in rejected state. The word self in the node name means the node shows timesheets with open or rejected status related to the resources themselves. You have possibly noticed that the timesheet is highlighted in red color. This is an interesting feature of WFMA. WFMA implemented 2 behavioral control parameters: timesheet submission allowed period and timesheet submission grace period. The value for the parameters is declared and maintained by the Staffing Organization Root Administrator. See the WFMA Staffing Organization Registration video session for details. Timesheet submission allowed period means a resource should submit the timesheet within the submission allowed period. From the point of a timesheet is generated for a resource, WFMA keeps sending automatic email reminding the resource to submit the timesheet through the submission allowed period. During submission allowed period, the timesheet is highlighted in yellow color. Timesheet submission grace period becomes effective beyond the submission allowed period. If a resource does not submit timesheet within the submission allowed period, the resource is expected to submit the timesheet within the submission grace period. When the timesheet goes past the submission allowed period, the timesheet is highlighted in red color. There are 2 action points: action trail and assign proxy. I am going to explain the purpose of these action points. Let me explain assign proxy first. Due to an undesirable situation, a resource may not be available for submitting his/her timesheets. This situation may lead to the timesheet processing in a held-up state for an indefinite period of time, which in turn has financial impact on the staffing organizations. An attempt to submit the held-up timesheet manually will jeopardize the data integrity, especially if a staffing organization data are digitized using a software. WFMA empowers the Staffing Organization Root Administrator to assign the first-level approver for submitting the timesheet. The approver acts as a proxy for the resource, who will fill in and submit the timesheet on behalf of the resource. Upon proxy submission, the timesheet follows the usual approval workflow through subsequent designated approvers. However, whether this action point link appears or not depends on the value is set to the behavioral controlling parameter to yes or no. Let me explain Action Trail now. Action Trail provides the complete detail about a specific timesheet and its journey towards approval. Click on Action Trail, link to get to the user interface. As you see, the top portion provides all the details about the timesheet. The organization root administrator can download the timesheet in PDF format. Click on Timesheet Items, accordion link to see the timesheet items for day-wise work and leave time entry. As the resource not yet filled in the timesheet yet, you find the time entries 0. Click on the Timesheet Approvers and Approval Status, accordion link to see the approver's details including approval status, approval date, etc. As the timesheet is not yet submitted, approval status shows open. As this is a timesheet for client deployment, there is only one approver, that is the client administrator. Click on the Timesheet Approval Actions accordion link to see the approver's actions trail. As no approver action has been started yet, you don't find any records in the trail. Let's look into the Open Rejected Proxy node. Click on the Open Rejected Proxy tab. As explained earlier, Organization Root Administrator may assign a proxy for a timesheet. When it is done, the timesheet appears in the Proxy Approvers portal with Open State. In this node, Staffing Organization Root Administrator can see all the timesheets of the organizations assigned to a proxy and in open state. When the proxy submits the timesheet, it goes to the designated approver for approving the timesheet. Similar to proxy assignment for timesheet submission, WFMA empowers the Organization Root Administrator to approve a timesheet as proxy of the designated approver, in case the designated approver is not available for approving the timesheet. The Organization Root Administrator, as proxy approver, may reject the timesheet. In that case, the timesheet state becomes rejected, and it comes back to the proxy for correction and resubmission. In this node, Staffing Organization Root Administrator can see all the timesheets of the organization in rejected state, which were rejected by the Organization Root Administrator as proxy approver. Timesheet status column indicates if a timesheet is in open state or in rejected state. The word proxy in the node name means the node shows timesheets with open or rejected status related to proxy submission and proxy rejection. Let's look into the Submitted Resubmitted node. Click on the Submitted Resubmitted tab. Whether a timesheet is submitted by the resource himself or by a proxy, once a timesheet is submitted, the state of the timesheet is changed to either submitted or resubmitted. If the state of the timesheet was open before submission, then after submission the state becomes submitted. If the state of the timesheet was rejected before submission, then after submission the state becomes resubmitted. In this node, Staffing Organization Root Administrator can see all the timesheets of the organization in submitted or resubmitted state. Timesheet status column indicates if a timesheet is in submitted state or in resubmitted state. Let's look into the Approved node. Click on the Approved tab. As explained earlier, upon submission of a timesheet, the timesheet appears in the designated approver's portal for approval. Upon approval of a timesheet, the state of the timesheet is changed to approved. In this node, Staffing Organization Root Administrator can see all the timesheets of the organization in approved state. Let's look into the action trail of an approved timesheet. Check the timesheet details, timesheet items, timesheet approvers and approval status, and timesheet approval actions for the timesheet. Thank you. See you in the next video.